everyone, what is up? It is Berlin. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you doing? This fine Friday, middle of the night, it is here for me, but I decided to sit down and record this little video. It's not something that I would usually speak about, Jake Paul, but Jake Paul is in the drama. Well, I say drama, but it's not really drama. It's not really tea. That's why I'm not here flipping a fan or anything. I'm sat here on my living room floor and we're going to get into it. Jake Paul, I'm sure you're aware by now, has made some kind of headlines on the internet for somebody coming out. Somebody by the name of Justine Paradise came out with a YouTube video accusing Jake Paul of SA, and it's very, very messy. Justine brought receipts. We're going to get into it, and also we've got to talk about Alissa Violet in all this as well, because there's a lot of history with Jake Paul and Alissa Violet which does back up some of the claims, I believe, that Justine Paradise made about Jake Paul. So I am going to say, because of the nature of this video, of course, it is going to be covering some things that viewers may find triggering. So if you are triggered by SA and things pertaining to SA, then please do feel free to skip this video, go watch another video. You know, this one might not be for you, but I just want to make you guys aware of that before I get into it. So we're going to get into Justine's video a little bit. In Justine's video, she basically sat down, told her whole entire experience about how she met Jake Paul, how she went to the Team 10 house, all this kind of stuff. She really got into it. You can go and watch Justine's video for yourself. I will link it down below. But also, it was just very jarring, very kind of shocking experience from Justine, who appears to be a very young woman. I'm not exactly sure of her age, but she looked frightened in the video. You know, she looked scared and kind of jumpy, even just sitting there telling her story.
If his sole purpose was to have sex with me and saw that that wasn't going to happen, he could tell me to leave. Yes, it would be like a jerk move, but he could have.
So in her video, Justine told her story about how Jake Paul had forced himself on her. It was at a party of some kind. It sounded like, I couldn't quite make it out from Justine's video, but it sounded like it was at some kind of party or hangout. She was hanging out with the Team 10 gang. You know, she was kind of there as a normal girl, hanging out with celebrities. You know, she was there. She was excited because, you know, oh wow, it's meeting Team 10, it's hanging out with Team 10. Sounded very similar to all the David Dobrik stuff that we've heard with their threesome bit situation, if you followed any of that story at all. But it does sound a lot like the David Dobrik situation, where they'd invited some young girls over, taken advantage of them, all of that stuff. So Justine is telling her story. She talks about how Jake Paul forced himself on her, pulled down his trousers and basically put himself in her mouth.
But that is not what he did. When he got up, he undid his pants and grabbed my face and started fucking my face. I would like to say that I have only given oral sex to like 2 or 3 people before this, because that's really special to me. Honestly, more so than like penis vagina sex, because it's different with penis vagina sex. Mostly that's just like the only sense that's going into that is touch, you know? But when it's going in your mouth, that's touch, that's taste, that's smell, that's like, it's all in your face, you know? What am I supposed to do? He was literally, I was still laying down, he was on top of me and like holding my head like into him. Like I couldn't even tell him not to. He didn't ask for consent or anything.
So on the night of the assault, the night it took place, Justine stayed over with Jake Paul and the guys at the house because it was too late for her to drive home. Then after leaving, she was invited back to the house again. She did want to go back, speak to Jake Paul about the assault, about what had happened, but Jake wouldn't talk to her. Justine had all the receipts of that in her video. Like I said, you can go and watch that for a reference. But when I heard Justine's story, it reminded me of the Shane Dawson documentary with Jake Paul. Do you remember that? Do you guys remember that documentary? That documentary where Shane Dawson was kind of trying to find out if, you know, Jake Paul was a sociopath or not, you know, all that stuff. I remembered back to seeing that documentary, and I remembered back to seeing Shane Dawson interview Alissa Violet, and how Alissa Violet had talked at quite length about how Jake Paul had been kind of abusive and manipulative to her. So this story from Justine really isn't the first time that we're hearing about Jake Paul being abusive to a woman.
And honestly, he did assault me a few times. If we never agreed on something or if something happened, he would spit in my face, and this has happened multiple times. He would like spit at like my feet, the ground that I walk on. He actually spit on Erica one time too, and she came into my room and talked to me about it. Alright, so about 2 years ago in Arizona, me and the squad, Team 10, me, Jake, Niels, and Alex Lange. And Niels can testify for this. He was there, Alex was there, everyone was there. It's on camera actually too, it's a video. We were filming a video and he had a part where he would like shove me into like this pricker bush or whatever, like with like thorns, like a cactus or whatever it was. So he pushed me way too hard. He even told the camera guy before he pushed me, he's like, yo, make sure you get this, it'll be funny. Pushes me, going, like he could have just shoved me. He shoved me all the way into the bush. And see this, I don't know if you guys can see. This scar right here were from thorns, and my entire arm was bleeding. My whole fucking hand, I had to dig out thorns. He was laughing the whole time. Niels was there.
Right?
I was crying and like all this shit, and like he didn't give a Another time, he threw my phone. Niels was there too at this one too, and surprisingly enough, Alex Lange was there at this one too. When I was living in his apartment, he took my phone, threw it at the wall. We got into a fight. I ran upstairs. He dragged me down the stairs, and I actually have...
Yeah, that's been on your leg since I met you.
So if you're not familiar with the story, what happened with Jake Paul and Alissa Violet, how they met in Ohio. Jake Paul kind of offered to help Alissa Violet with her modelling career. Alissa soon moved to LA, all this stuff, you know. Oh, Alissa thought it was going to be lovely, but Jake Paul basically used Alissa Violet. He used her in thumbnails for his videos as clickbait, used her as a bit of a trophy, basically. And the treatment that Alissa got was disgusting, I have to say. When you go back and watch the Shane Dawson documentary, Alissa really gets into it and she gets very emotional. There's a lot that she talks about regarding Jake Paul and his treatment of her. It is really kind of disturbing to sit down and listen to, but you can tell at the end of that interview that Alissa did feel a little bit better, a little bit lighter, that she'd told her story, you know, she'd got it out at least. But Alissa basically signed a contract with Jake Paul and Logan Paul. It was a 5-year contract. Logan Paul pulled out of the contract, so he stopped taking money, stopped taking a cut of Alissa's earnings, but Jake Paul continued to profit from Alissa. He continued to take a cut of her money, so Alissa had to fight with the Team 10 managers to get what she was owed before she could eventually leave. Alissa was basically like a prisoner in the Team 10 house. Alissa Violet always wanted some kind of relationship from Jake Paul. They were kind of an on-off thing. Jake basically only wanted Alissa to be like a YouTube girlfriend, something to show off, to use as clickbait in thumbnails for his videos and all of that. He didn't actually want to commit to Alissa, so basically he treated her like shit. He also used to sleep with Instagram models right after hooking up with Alissa, so she would literally walk in, find Jake doing the business with these IG models, and then you can imagine how she would feel. So Alissa suffered a lot of emotional abuse and also some physical abuse while she was around Jake Paul. She alleges that he would do things like break her phone, drag her down the stairs. It's really, really gross frat boy behavior. But not only that, when you're talking about violence and you're talking about emotional manipulation, it's kind of like domestic abuse, really. You know, when you're very close to someone, you're living and working with them, like Alissa was with Jake. She's come out, Alissa's told her story, and now we've had this young girl, Justine, come out and share her story. So I can fully believe Justine's accusations because of everything that Alissa went through in her interview with Shane Dawson. Go back, watch it, you guys can see for yourselves. Everything that Alissa talks about, the way that she was manipulated, the way that Jake Paul would do pranks on her without warning her sometimes, and they would be things that would ruin her day. Like Alissa would be getting dressed up to do a shoot or go to a wedding or do something. Jake would get up, throw her in the pool, you know, ruin all her hair and makeup. So she would have to then spend so much more time getting herself done up again, ready to go out, ready to carry on with her day. You know, he would do things that were basically bullying Alissa and also just being abusive and nasty. So I can fully believe this young girl, Justine, coming forward and saying, hey, you know, this is how Jake Paul's treated me. He pulled down his trousers and he did this to me. I can fully believe what she is saying. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any different kind of opinion on this, but me watching Justine's story, really the first thing that I thought of, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, that Shane Dawson interview with Alissa Violet. I just remembered Alissa and the way that she spoke, and I remembered her being very emotional, and I remembered her struggling with that interview. So now when you put 2 and 2 together, you go and watch Alissa's interview, and now you watch Justine's video, it's like, there's definitely something in this. You know, Jake Paul is definitely not nice to women. But just like everything that we're seeing recently with the James Charles allegations, with the Vlog Squad scandal, all of that stuff, I don't know if there's going to be any real repercussions for Jake Paul. At the moment, it doesn't look like YouTube is willing to do anything about these predators, abusers on their platform. It really doesn't look like they care. It doesn't look like they give a shit, if I'm honest. But I'm glad that Justine was able to at least make her video, come out, tell her story. But I do think something needs to be done about the predator problem on YouTube. Because how many times are we hearing this same kind of story now, where someone comes forward with SA allegations or worse, and it's just a lot, you know? We're hearing this, like, what have we had? Very close together. Vlog Squad, James Charles, now Jake Paul. It's a lot. Why is nobody talking about how these YouTubers, these particularly male YouTubers, are using their fame, their power to take advantage of other people? James Charles, he's taking advantage of minors. David Dobrik, the Vlog Squad, they took advantage of young, drunk girls. Then you had Jake Paul now also taking advantage of a young girl. Like, how many more of these allegations and how many more cases like this are we going to see? It is just so frustrating. How many more cases like this are we going to hear in the coming months? This video today is just a bit of an initial reaction to Justine's video, because as I saw it, like I said, the first thing that popped into mind was Alissa Violet, her video with Shane Dawson. Well, it was Shane Dawson's documentary where he interviewed her. And I was just gobsmacked. I thought, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Yet more allegations about Jake Paul that nobody will do anything about. Because they never do. You know, nobody did anything when Alissa spoke out. And now that this young Justine girl has spoken out, is anybody going to do anything? I doubt it. I hate to say it and I hate to be that pessimistic about it, but the rate that these allegations come out, all of these YouTubers, you know, they're not even afraid. And that's the sickening thing. That they'll just get up and do it all again. There needs to be more done on YouTube to protect other creators like Alissa Violet, you know, who come forward with stories of what's actually happened to them. There needs to be more done to protect people from people like Jake Paul, James Charles, Dom from the Vlog Squad. You know, it is so frustrating. Okay, so I'm going to end this video right here. This was just my initial reaction to Justine's allegations, to Justine's video. It's shocking, and I hope that she manages to get some kind of justice for what Jake Paul did to her, allegedly. You know, it is gross. It shouldn't happen to anybody, you know, and somebody shouldn't be able to get away with it just because they're a big famous YouTuber. We all know that by now, but like, look what's happening. Nothing, tra-la-la, Labyrinth. Love that film. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave you on this one right here. So I'm gonna say take care, stay safe, stay well. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.